So the Nintendo Switch is pretty cool, but some games have certain issues, like in Breath of the Wild, the sprint button is all the way down here, whereas jump is up here. So you want to do both at the same time, you've got to do this, a little claw. And that's basically how you can sprint and glide at the same time, which is important because momentum carries into your glide. But in firmware update 10.0, there is a fix for this, so you know what, let's go and fix it. So what I'm going to do is first secure link, and then go into the home menu. We are going to move sprint and jump a hell of a lot closer. So let's go into the controller and sensor settings and change button mapping on the Pro controller. And you know what? We can do a bunch here. But what I'm going to do is map the B button, being sprint, to clicking in on the left stick. So this is now the B button. So what are we losing? We're losing the ability to crouch, which I don't want to lose. So what I'm going to do is put crouch on the capture button. That way, we're not losing a thing. Another potential button could have been down on the D-pad, which was whistle. Not a big function, but I want to keep everything. I don't want to lose a thing. So now, in Breath of the Wild, when I click down on the left stick, we'll start sprinting. Which means I can now jump and sprint at the exact same time. Let's do it again. Ready? 3, 2, 1, go! And that really does fix a lot about Breath of the Wild, and B still works as B usually would. I don't really want to unmap B because it's the cancel button. It has a lot more purposes than just sprint. So B is still here, I can still hold down B to sprint if I want to, but if I prefer, I can click down and then jump. So this really does fix a big thing with Breath of the Wild, and honestly, I might even play Breath of the Wild this way. If I want to crouch, press the capture button, and down we go. Now this does take away the ability to capture, but I can always just get a JoyCon. There's always a JoyCon lying around. Where are you, JoyCon? Here one is. So I can always just get another JoyCon, sync it to the system, and we're going to keep playing with this. I can capture with this. So there you go, that's one way of taking pictures if you still want to, but otherwise, Breath of the Wild is fully functional, but now with a much better sprint. So that's one game, but there are other Switch games with much bigger issues, and some of them are just sort of nice fixes, but one of them is a major fix. So you know what we're going to do? We, ladies and gents, are going to play Dark Souls. So Dark Souls is one of my favourite games of all time, and the Switch version is a pretty great portable port. But there is one issue. For some reason, this is one of the very few Switch games that does this. For some reason, accept is not A. So right here in this menu, to accept this, I can't press A, you know, the standard button of Nintendo consoles. I've got to press B. And when I want to start the game to continue, again, A does nothing. It's B. And this continues throughout the entire game. In menus, to accept things in the bonfire, you've always got to press the B button, which it makes sense if you're going from like a PlayStation game or an Xbox game. But for Nintendo? Oh, look at this. B to rest at bonfire. Let's go in the menu. If we want to just gather around, we can't just press A. That brings it away. You got to press the B button. So A is to go back and B is to confirm. This has always been a weird issue, but we can fix it now using the controls. So all we're going to do is switch A and B around. It's still going to give you the prompts to press A and B, but what you actually press is going to be different, of course. So here we go. A, you are going to be B, and B, you're going to be A. So we're going to accept that and go right back into Dark Souls. And remember in the menu, this also applies. So right now A is back. So we've basically reversed the entire way the Switch works. B is confirmed in the menu, but now in Dark Souls, A is confirmed, as it should be. So now you can just work through muscle memory and go gather through menus the way that God intended, rather than this God-forbidden, awful method they've got here. But now I have to adapt to how Dark Souls plays now, because now B is sprint. God, it comes with some caveats, but it's a learning curve. But anyway, yeah, this is one of the biggest problems I've ever had with a Switch game. It's just so hard to get used to B being confirmed. Why would you do this? So I don't think any other game is quite as drastic as Dark Souls, but there are still more examples that we can use to show you the benefits of controller mapping. So you know what? Let's go do it. So here's something a lot of you may not even know about Splatoon because it sold so much better on Switch than Wii U. But in the Wii U original, jump was not on B, but rather X, which is the submenu in the Switch version. So some purists couldn't get used to this. I'm sure that most of you can, but if you are coming from the Wii U original and you just can't get used to B being jump, well, now it's time to fix that. So let's just go over to the settings a second, and what we're going to do is simply switch the buttons around. If you wanted to, you could change them a bit more than this, but I'm simply going to switch B and X around, because that way, X is just now jump, whereas B will be the submenu. So we're not losing anything, we're literally just flipping the buttons around. So there we go, and that's going to be X. And now if we go over to Splatoon 2, it will now have the same buttons as Splatoon 1. Although keep into account, X is even back in the menu now. So this is changing a few things, but in the game, there you go. We now have Splatoon 1 controls. Thank you, Inkling, we will stay home. But yeah, so if you want to play Splatoon 2 like it were Splatoon 1, well now you can. Just keep into account, B is now the menu. So that's something for Splatoon 2, but how about plenty of other Switch games? Well, this one is pretty big. So if, like me, you play local multiplayer games quite often, then your Switch album is probably just full of pictures of the title screen of games, because you hand someone a JoyCon, and they go, oh thanks, whoops, oh no, I took a picture. It happens so often, because the capture button is right next to the other buttons. It's easy to press just by gripping it, it's easy to press when pressing a button, it happens all the time. When I first got my Switch, 1-2 Switch was basically the entirety of my album by mistake. But we can change that. So if we go down to the controls, what we're going to do is head down to the usual place, the button mapping location, and we're going to take the left Joy-Con. And what we're going to do is take the capture button. Oh, wrong one. And we're just going to disable it. We're going to say, get out of here, capture button. We don't want you around here. And then when we go into Super Mario Party now, you will not be able to take any screenshots. Look at that! Now your friends cannot make your album just the Mario Party title screen. You have overcome this issue that many people have. So in Smash, in Mario Party, in Mario Kart, in basically any multiplayer game, we can now stop our friends from taking horrible screenshots against our will. So yeah, that's just a great little quality of life improvement, and something that I probably will use when it comes to playing games multiplayer. But let's do a few more things. So Joy-Con drift does happen, and let's say these are my only controllers, I have no others, I have no money to buy other controllers. What am I gonna do? Well, this isn't a perfect solution, but in games like Mario Tennis Aces, which don't really need the other stick, what I can do is literally flip the controllers around. So let's say, yeah, this controller has Joy-Con drift, this one's fine. What I can do is go into the controller settings, flip the sticks around, and then just change some of the buttons. So there will be a learning curve, but it's better than buying a whole new controller. So the right stick is now going to be our primary movement stick. There you go. So this is now going to move Mario or whoever we're playing as around. But that's going to be a bit tricky if I'm going to be like pulling off shots while pressing the Y button. So instead of doing that, what I'm going to do is first save this change to begin with, move to the next controller, and I'm literally going to put B there, A there, and so on. So yeah, up on the D-pad is now going to be Y, or X even. Left is going to be Y. One of them's going to be Y. This is going to be A. And that's going to be B. So there you go. And now when I play Mario Tennis Aces, I can move the character with this stick and play with these buttons. So yeah, there's definitely going to be a learning experience here. And I don't expect to do as well as I usually would. But you know what? We'll give it a go. So let's just go into a free play mode. And we'll just play a very quick match. Alright, let's see if I can get used to this. So right now, this is going to move us around. And this is basically going to be our buttons. So I can play Mario Tennis Aces just fine like this. Peter Piranha, you can't win against me. I've defeated Joy-Con drift. But yeah, I can do everything I usually could. I can even do little trick shots if Peter Piranha were to return the ball. Because you can just double tap the X button. And that'll give you a nice little trick shot. So I'll showcase that now. P.T. Piranha, you're the worst! How did you even qualify for this tournament? So I just want to showcase the trick shot. Come on, you can do it. There you go, you can just do that. So there's no need for the other stick at all. This isn't going to work for every single game, but in Mario Tennis Aces and games that don't really rely on dual sticks, this is more or less perfect. Same for Animal Crossing. You can literally just ignore the other stick if you want to, because all that does is adjust the camera angle, which isn't really essential for Animal Crossing. So hopefully this helps some of you guys out if you're struggling with Joy-Con drift. I know it's not perfect, but it's something. So for some reason in Super Nintendo games, there is zero control customization, and I've never really understood why. And with modern Mario games, the spin is always on the trigger. But that does nothing in Mario World on the Super Nintendo. So in Mario World, basically you can run with Y and jump, or you can run with X and spin. Now that's fine, but it's also a little bit much to juggle, like running like this and then doing that. So what if you wanted something completely different, more in line with the modern games? Well, one thing you can do is put A, being spin, on the trigger, just like it is in Mario Maker. So what I'm going to do is do exactly that. So we're going to take the A button and move it over to the trigger. Just remember that it's going to be like that in menus as well, but once you're in the game, it's just fine, and you can load different presets. So we're going to take the trigger, oh, wrong one, this trigger, and we're going to give you an A. Beautiful. And you can put that on just regular R if you wanted to as well. Doesn't really matter. Whatever you're comfortable with. And now, that's there. So I can now run with this button and spin with that one. So I never have to touch the X button. So I can just do this. Woohoo! And honestly, this feels really good. It's in line with New Super Mario Bros. It's in line with Mario Maker. It's just what Mario does these days. So this just makes it feel really comfortable. And you know what? I might always play it this way now. Because I can't go back. I can't go back after playing so many modern Mario games. There you go, we can just keep going like this now. Perfect. This feels great. Jeez. It makes you wonder why they never actually incorporated this before, because it's just so fluid. But yeah, that's just a great little function that you can use in a bunch of Super Nintendo games, but it's very useful. In Mario World in particular. So that's 6 ways controller mapping can improve your Nintendo Switch experience. Have you found any other games that really benefit from the function too? Let us know in the comments below, and of course be sure to subscribe to Game Explained for a lot more on the Nintendo Switch and other things gaming too. Until next time, bye!